You're listening to the micro version of the Savage Lovecast at savage.love.
If you're stuck in a relationship quandary, or if you're looking for sexual harmony, well, there's nothing you can't ask on the Savage Lovecast.
I'm not even going to try to pronounce that word. The one the Pope had to apologize for using last week. The current Pope, the nice Pope, the who am I to judge Pope, the being gay is not a crime Pope, that Pope. Someone ratted the Pope out for using an anti-gay slur during a private, closed closet doors meeting with 250 Catholic bishops in Italy last week. And yeah, I'm not even going to try to say it out loud because I have a problem. If I see an unfamiliar word in print first, I hear it in my head. And if I don't hear it in my head the way it's supposed to be pronounced, doesn't matter how many times I hear the word pronounced correctly after that. Doesn't matter how many times I'm corrected. What I heard in my head when I read the word for the first time, that's how it's going to come out of my mouth for the rest of my life. A Savage Lovecast listener who obviously knows what I'm like called in with the correct pronunciation.
Hi, Dan and everybody. The word is pronounced Prochadjine. Bye.
It was a valiant attempt to get out in front of my brain, and one I very much appreciate, caller, but it came too late. I'd already read the word a dozen times in print already. It's spelled Frociaggine, and what I heard in my head, I'm actually kind of embarrassed to say, was frogacino, like frappuccino made with frogs. I realize it makes no sense. It's F-R-O-C, not F-R-O-G, but my brain, like the Lord, works in mysterious ways. Anyway, the word
Prochadjine
means faggoty. The Pope was expressing his concerns about admitting openly gay men to the priesthood because a lot of the seminaries he's visited in his time as Pope are already pretty faggoty as is. Which, if you think about it for just a second, means banning gay men from the priesthood isn't keeping gay men out of the priesthood. It's attracting a certain kind of gay man, the self-loathing kind, the externalizing of the internal conflict kind. And the church actually does welcome men into the priesthood who have a history of homosexual activity, but only if their homosexual activity wasn't deep-seated, or seated with a T, deep-seated, not deep-seated. That means something else entirely. So if you wore your homosexuality lightly, if you were shallow-seated, if you were perched on the edge of your seat, I guess, you're in. Anyway, the day before the news broke, I got an email from Peter Tatchell. He's a high-profile LGBTQ rights activist in the UK, and the subject line on the email was, Dan, the Pope called us faggots. I opened the email, and the headline on the newsletter was, Pope called LGBTs faggots. Now, in fairness to the Pope, which is something I never thought I'd say on my Dirty Sex podcast, the Pope didn't call all LGBTs faggots. He didn't call lesbians faggots, or bisexuals faggots, or everyone crowded in under the trans umbrella faggots. The Pope wasn't even talking about, I don't think, all gay people. He wasn't talking about all the
Prochadjine
shit that went down at Gay Pride in WeHo over the weekend. He was condemning all the
Prochadjine
shit going down in Catholic seminaries in Italy. Apparently, even with the ban on gay men in the priesthood, which I give not one single
Prochadjine
shit about, there's a whole lot of
Prochadjine
butt stuff going on in Catholic seminaries right now. And these faggots in seminaries, they profess to believe and are committed to teaching others to believe what the church teaches and pretends to believe about homosexuality. Namely that, and I'm quoting here from the Catechism, homosexual acts are intrinsically disordered, contrary to natural law. They close the sexual act to the gift of life. Now, before straight people get all high and mighty about how intrinsically ordered you are in the eyes of the Catholic Church, the Church describes masturbation as intrinsically and gravely disordered, which sounds worse. And it condemns birth control too, which obviously closes the sexual act to life with the exact same words. Now, I am inclined to say these faggots that the Pope was talking about, these faggots who want to carry holy water for the Catholic Church, fuck these faggots. But honestly, I have some sympathy for them. seeing as they're doing what I almost did. I chose to attend a seminary, a preparatory seminary, a high school for Catholic boys thinking about becoming priests when I was a teenager, in part because I thought the building was beautiful. If you're over 40, Quigley Preparatory Seminary North on Rush Street is Chicago's Sainte-Chapelle. If you're under 40, it's Chicago's Hogwarts. Anyway, if I'd stuck with it, if I'd hated myself that much and made it all the way to the grown-up seminary, and there were a lot of other gay guys there like me, guys who were going into the priesthood because coming out didn't seem like an option, and if we were all sleeping in dormitories together and we believed our sins would be forgiven if we made a full confession the next day, a full and very hot confession, I would have been one of the ones engaging in a whole lot of at my seminary. I have another memory of Quigley that I wanted to share, something that sounds too fucked up to be true. If there's anybody out there listening who went to Quigley who can back me up on this, please call. In addition to the mandatory swim classes we had to take, where everybody swam naked in front of the coaches who were priests, when I went to Quigley, there was a young priest whose job title was disciplinarian. He sat in an office on the second floor with a sign on the door that said disciplinarian, and he waited there for angry teachers to send misbehaving boys to his office to be spanked. That was his job as a priest, spanking high school boys all day long. I believe this position, one I might have applied for myself if I were a messy closet case who'd managed to get my ass ordained. I believe this position has been phased out at Catholic seminaries due to its absolutely off-the-charts levels of
Prochadjine.
All right, coming up on the micro, tons of your Q's, lots of my A's, and joining me on the show today, comedian Jared Goldstein. You may have seen him in the single best episode of Black Mirror ever in the most current Black Mirror season. You may be one of the tens of thousands of fans who follow him on Instagram. I'm really excited to have Jared on the Lovecast. We talk about long-haired homos, where in our houses we keep our shrines to Timothée Chalamet. And with Jared, I play what may be the shortest game of Never Have I Ever, ever. In a conversation that the Pope would surely think had way too much for his tastes. A little of my conversation with Jared is on the micro. All of it is on the Magnum. And finally, I wanted to say, hey, it's June. That is a very special month. National Migraine and Headache Awareness Month, as I'm sure you all know. At the Lovecast, we're celebrating National Migraine and Headache Awareness Month by offering our micro listeners a free month of the Magnum. Go to savage.love and enter the code HAPPYJUNE to become a sub now. Magnum subs get the longer, stronger, ad-free Savage Lovecast, the extra-long Savage Love column, struggle sessions, invites to Savage Love, live streams, and more. Celebrate Migraine and Headache Awareness Month in style with us by getting a free month of Magnum now at savage.love. All right, if you're a Magnum sub, show starts now. If you're not yet a Magnum sub, and there's no excuse not to be a Magnum sub right now, but if you are not, show starts after these ads. This episode of the Savage Lovecast is brought to you by Dipsea. Dipsea is an app full of hundreds of short, sexy audio stories designed by women for women. Get an extended 30-day free trial when you go to dipseastories.com/savage. Support for today's show, support we are very grateful for, comes from Stamps.com. With Stamps.com, you can access all the amazing services of the post office right from your desk in your own home, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Just click, print, mail, and you are done. It could not be easier. And right now, use Savage for this special offer. Includes up to $55 worth of free postage, a digital scale, and a 4-week trial. Do not wait. Go to Stamps.com, and before you do anything else, click on the microphone at the top of the homepage and type in Savage. That's Stamps.com. Enter SAVAGE.
Hi, Dan. I'm a 32-year-old straight woman living in Australia. Currently, I'm working at a hospitality agency. The work is really casual. There's a lot of people that work there, so it's kind of rare that you work with the same person very often. A couple weeks ago, I went from not sleeping with anybody for a long time to sleeping with 2 different guys from my job on the same weekend. And to my misfortune, they are both working with me for a whole week. at an event where I'm at the bar. So both of them were kind of close to me, smile at me, flirt with me, all this. And often I get also attention from customers that come up to the bar and kind of flirt with me, or other coworkers. And so with one of these guys that I've slept with, I kind of would like to keep doing that because if he's nice and it's fun, and I mean, there's no strings attached or anything, but it's fun. But then I also, like, I don't know what to do when guests come up and flirt with me at the bar, and I'm also interested in them or in potentially hooking up with some of them. But like, if this other guy that I'm also interested in continuing to sleep with is right there, I don't want to seem like rude or like hurt his feelings or just be kind of like unclassy or, just like flirting in front of somebody that you sleep with. So what am I supposed to do when this happens? Like, am I supposed to not give them my Instagram if they ask for it, or just like act like I'm not interested when I am interested? And I only kind of ask this because I kind of feel like this doesn't really happen very much, or like I don't really have as many sexual partners as I would like to. So it kind of feels weird to be like not taking opportunities when they happen just because I'm already slept with somebody that's working with me. So what should I do, Dan?
Be honest with the dude or the dudes from work that you fucked. Just tell them, risk telling them that you're interested in fucking them again, but you're not interested in only fucking them. And you don't want to feel awkward if there's somebody else walks into the establishment where you're working who flirts with you and you want to flirt back with. You don't want that to be awkward. And you never know. You might have a Yahtzee moment here where you tell this guy, you set his expectations like, hey, look, totally like fucking you, totally down to fuck again, gonna be fucking other guys, including potentially customers, and you can't have a problem with that if you want to fuck me again. You never know. He could be a cuckold or a hot wife dude or a stag and vixen guy. And not only is the prospect of you flirting with and fucking other men a problem for him, but it is a benefit. It is a selling point that when he sees you flirting with a customer, he will be so happy. He'll be so excited at the prospect of getting to go down on you after that other guy fucked you that he'll come without touching his dick during the conversation that you're going to have with him. You never know. But if that conversation turns him off and he's no longer interested in you because you were direct and honest with him about your expectations, okay, well, I don't want to call him bad rubbish because he's not bad rubbish. He's allowed to have a comfort zone of his own and limits and expectations and wants and desires of his own. But if what you want doesn't work for him, figuring that out now in advance of you flirting with a customer, flirting back with a customer who's flirting with you is going to be better for you and better for him. And having that conversation, taking that risk, that's the only way you ever find out if you're going to have, in the course of your romantic and sexual life, one or two of those Yahtzee moments that we all have or can have if we just risk being honest and direct with the people we're fucking. I think of someone I heard from once at a speaking event who waited for 10 years to confess their terrible, awful, extreme, crazy kink, or what seemed like a crazy kink to them, not so much to me, to their partner, because they were struggling with shame that whole time and they were certain that they would be rejected, only to find out 10 years into the relationship that their partner basically had the same kink. 10 years wasted. 10 years that they could have been doing these crazy things to and with each other, wasted. They made up for lost time, but there was a Yahtzee. A Yahtzee delayed, a Yahtzee ultimately had, but you could have your Yahtzee now, potentially, if you just level with this guy or these guys.
Hey, Dan and the tech savvy at-risk youth. I'm a 39-year-old straight cis woman from the Bay Area. 3 weeks ago, I was diagnosed with breast cancer. Today, I met the surgeon, and I have to decide about a single or a double mastectomy. It's absolutely medically necessary on one side to save my life, and I have to decide about the other side where the cancer has not affected. The reason I'm calling you about this is because of the loss of feeling I will have on one or possibly both sides. My husband and I have a really resilient sex life, and I have no doubt that we can get past this. We have 2 young children. We started having sex pretty soon after I gave birth to both of them. And I've had other surgeries, and we've recovered lovely, in a nice way. But just like being told you're never going to be able to feel your husband squeeze your breast again is a pretty awful feeling. And I think medically and aesthetically, it makes sense for me to get a double mastectomy. But I just wanted to have someone who is as sex positive and excited about sex as I am to talk to about this, even though you don't have breasts. I'm just really, really torn. I think I've kind of made up my decision to get the double mastectomy because I think it's the safest way to ensure that I'm there for my children in the future. But I need to find a way to tell myself that this is going to be okay.
This is such a heartbreaking question, and I feel not qualified to answer this question. But then I remember what I've said a million times to all the other people who've come on the show, who write advice columns, that when you look up advice in the dictionary, it says opinion about what could or should be done. And the only qualification you need to give your opinion is that somebody asked for it. And you're asking for my opinion. And so I'm going to do my best to answer your question to the best of my ability. I hope that you're reaching out to other women who've faced breast cancer and had to make this decision for their input as well, and not just relying on your old fag friend, Dan. You want to feel good when you look at your body, and I think that's an aesthetics issue. You cite aesthetics as one of the reasons why you might choose to get this double mastectomy. I guess a kind of uniform, symmetrical appearance. But to feel good in your body, it sounds like sex has been really important to you. And having your breasts, plural, squeezed by your husband is important to your sense of sexual fulfillment, or has been important to your sense of sexual fulfillment. And when you say, as you did in your question, that I don't have breasts, that's true. But I am one of those men with very responsive nipples, and I feel you. Like, it's important to me to be touched, have my chest touched by a lover during sex. It's very important to me. And if I had a choice between suddenly having no nipples or having one still responsive nipple, I think I would choose to keep the nipple. We call them tits here in gay land too. I would choose to keep the tit that was healthy. And if I were in your shoes, choose to keep my healthy breast if I was a woman facing the choice that you are facing. And then for my children's sake, monitor that breast very, very closely. And then if another mastectomy is required down the road, to have gotten as much use and enjoyment and pleasure out of that breast as I could before it had to go too. I don't feel like I can tell you what to do here, tell you what's right for you. I can reassure you that, oh my God, as we age, time is a meat grinder. It eats us all up. It really does. And the ways in which we take pleasure from our bodies evolve over time. A pleasure that was really central to your sense of sexual fulfillment and feeling good in your body, over time, that can change. Something that was really important, something that felt really good, falls out of your sexual repertoire, and you barely even notice it as some other pleasure, some other pleasure your body is capable of experiencing, a pleasure your body is capable of providing you, sort of rises to take its place. So I'm confident with a lover as attentive and supportive as it sounds like your husband is, that you will be able to find new ways of taking pleasure from your body, of being provided with pleasure in your body and providing him with pleasure with your body over time. And rather than that being, as it is for so many of us as we age, a gradual process, it will be a kind of clunky gear shift, but you will be able to do it. You will be able to find new erogenous zones, because it's not just nerve endings that erogenous zones are about. It's about desire, and our own desire and our need to be touched and our need for intimacy, finding really places in our body where we can be provided, where that touch, where that physical contact and that connection can be facilitated. And if you lose your breasts, if you do decide to get the double mastectomy, and my heart goes out to you at this moment, I ache for you right at this moment, I'm confident that you will find new pleasures and new ways to enjoy your body and sex with your husband.
Let's see, which one do I want to listen to? Two tennis players face off in a tense match. But after the game, their rivalry simmers in the sauna. Listen in as they find new ways to try to best one another. That's challengers. That's really good. Oh, here's another one. Charlotte and Willa can't wait till the end of the party, so they sneak away into a free bedroom and hook up as the party goes on outside the door. They try their best to stay quiet as things heat up between them. Yeah. Oh, geez. You guys caught me browsing Dipsy while I'm at work. Don't tell Dan. Dipsy is an app full of hundreds of short, spicy audio stories. They bring scenarios to life with immersive soundscapes and realistic characters. Discover stories about second chance romances, adventurous vacation flings, and hot and heavy hookups. And there's a growing library of fantasy series with werewolves, Greek gods and goddesses, Regency-era historical fiction, and fairy smut, and tennis players to explore the bounds of your pleasure. New content is released every week, so in between listening to your favorite stories again and again, you can always find something new to explore. Dipsy offers a modern approach to romance through high-quality and captivating audio fiction. It's really great, truly. For listeners of the show, Dipsy's offering an extended 30-day free trial when you go to dipsystories.com/savage. That's 30 days of full access for free when you go to dipsystories.com/savage. That's dipsystories.com/savage.
Hi, Dan. I am a 31-year-old cis female calling from the West Coast. I am calling in about something pretty heavy, so I feel obligated to throw out a trigger warning. I just recently found out my ex-fiancé of 8 years was arrested on federal child pornography charges and for trying to solicit a minor. I met this man when I was 21 and he was 23. We were together for 8 years and engaged for the last 4. 2 years ago, I fell in love with one of my coworkers and ended my engagement. My fiancé seemed unusually understanding about the whole thing. Although he was hurt and didn't want our relationship to end, we had agreed that our relationship had turned more companionate towards the end, and so we ended things very amicably, and I still considered him a dear friend. And up until that point in my life, I had felt like he was the only healthy relationship I had ever had. We've been separated now for 2 years, and I'm still with the man I left him for, but my ex and I have kept in contact and have been able to stay pretty close friends. I found out about him being arrested a couple weeks ago, but just finally got access to court records, and now I know everything. Now that I know the details and the horrifying extent of his crimes and that he was doing these things while we were still together, I feel very broken. I feel like I can't trust myself to really know anyone, and all of the good memories of my ex are just so painful now. I am just trying to find resources for people who have experienced this kind of thing. There is surprisingly little available, at least that I have been able to find. I am in therapy, but I feel like if I could just talk to someone else who's been through this, I don't know if maybe there's a specialist you could have on, or if your other listeners might have any insight on resources for people who have loved someone who turned out to be a pedophile or a sexual predator. I think due to the extent of his crimes, there's a good chance I'll never see him again. And I don't know how to make it through this without being able to tell him how hurt and disgusted I am and how betrayed I feel.
I'm not aware of any resources out there for people who've gone through what you're going through now. If anybody listening to the show is aware of resources that might help this caller, please jump into the comment thread or give us a call and let us know about them. Caller, you dodged a bullet. You should be grateful that that coworker you couldn't resist came along and that you aren't finding all of these same things out about this man after you married him and had kids with him, potentially. So I get it. I get that you're struggling with that existential terror that we all kind of live with. It's this low thrum in the back of our minds where we know that we can't know everything about the people who are closest to us, the people we bring into our lives, that there's some part of every human being we interact with that is unknowable and unreachable and isn't something that can be disclosed to us or should be disclosed to us. And in addition to the existential terror of just not being able to fully know someone else, there's also the existential terror of not being able to fully know ourselves. And we live with that. We limp through life living with that existential terror. What you're going through right now is it's kind of foregrounding this background existential terror, this low thrum in the back of your mind about whether you can really, truly, fully know the man you're with now after having obviously not really, truly, fully known the man you were with then. It's right in the front of your mind. It will, in time, as you process this, it will, like grief, begin to recede. Every once in a while, you may become consciously aware of it again and have a moment and stress out about it. And then again, it will recede. Therapy is a resource available to you. You say you're in therapy now. Good. That may be the best single resource available to you. But yeah, you're consciously aware of something now, acutely consciously aware of something that most people are only half aware of all of their lives, which is that everybody else on this fucking planet is a fucking mystery. And even parts of ourselves are fucking mysteries to us. And yeah, what I keep coming back to as I think about your question, as I listened to your call a couple of times, was how lucky you are that you got out of this relationship, that you met this coworker and fell in love with this coworker and exited this relationship. And yeah, I do think there is a bit of a tell there in how calmly the man you were with for 8 years and engaged to for 4 years took it when you told him you had fallen in love with someone else and that you were leaving him. He wasn't in love with you or capable of fully loving you. And there was some evidence of that in his reaction to you ending this relationship. And I'm just really, 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 really glad for you that that happened before you got married, before you scrambled your DNA together. Time management is one of the most important keys to success. If you're running a small business, you know that mailing can really eat away at time better spent doing other, more important things. Free up time consumed by tedious mailing and shipping tasks with Stamps.com. Stamps.com streamlines your postage needs, making your business more efficient and putting more life into your work-life balance. The Stamps.com mobile app can act as your 24/7 post office. All you need is a computer and a printer. They even send you a free scale. Easily schedule package pickups through your Stamps.com dashboard. Automatically see your cheapest and fastest shipping options from different carriers. For small businesses to multi-location organizations, Stamps.com handles all your mailing and shipping needs while reducing costs and increasing profit. And with Stamps.com, you can seamlessly connect with every major marketplace and shopping cart if you sell online. And you will get rates you can't find anywhere else, like up to 89% off USPS and UPS. Order shipping and mailing supplies, labels, and even printers from the supply store when you run low. Put more life into your work-life balance. Put a thumb on the scale for life with Stamps.com. Sign up with the promo code SAVAGE for a special offer that includes a 4-week trial plus free postage and a free digital scale. No long-term commitments or contracts. Just go to Stamps.com, click on the microphone at the top of the page, and enter the code SAVAGE.
Hi, Dan. I am a mid-30s, cis-het woman living on the West Coast, and I recently met up with this super hot guy through Field, and when I met up with him, I thought that he had some feminine ways of his demeanor, so we had insane chemistry, and I wanted to go back to his apartment after. So I go back to his apartment, and I notice above his fireplace is a little shrine to Timothy Chalamet. And I said to him, what is this? He said, my little shrine to Timothy Chalamet. And I said, oh, you really like Timothy Chalamet? He says, yes, absolutely. And then I said, oh, well, I really love one of the movies he was in. Have you seen Call Me By Your Name? And he said, yes, it's my absolute favorite movie. Now, he had straight listed on his field profile, so I'm curious about this interest in Timothy Chalamet and this love for seeing two hot men making out. And I'm wondering what this says about his interest in me. He says that I could give Timothy Chalamet a run for his money, though he did cancel an official date we were going to have about 20 minutes before the date, saying he got a headache and hasn't rescheduled. So I really enjoyed his company. We had insane chemistry. I would like to go out with him again, though I'm a little bit unsure about his obsession with Timothy Chalamet and his canceling of a formal date with me and what it all means about what he's really into. Do you have any insight?
Joining me to help tackle this question, because why not? Comedian and actor Jared Goldstein. He was named one of Vulture's comedians you should know and will know. His stand-up can be seen most recently in House of Laughs on Wow Presents Plus. Jared, thank you so much for demeaning yourself by coming on my podcast.
This is a huge, huge favor to you, and you're so welcome.
I feel like you're doing me this huge favor. I have to say, I've been a fan forever. I've been following you on Instagram. I love your stuff. I think you're hysterical, whether you're talking about your mom or talking about your boyfriend's cum. You are fucking funny. So
thank you.
But you're not here to do your stand-up. You're here to give some sex advice. Let's get right
I'm here
to
for
it.
Not for comedy. I'm here for drama.
So her concern is that he's gay because he's obsessed with Timothy Chalamet and like that Call Me By Your Name movie with the cannibal. What's your ruling on that?
This is the most bisexual thing I've ever heard in my life. Canceling a date 20 minutes before because you have a headache. This man is bi.
I was going to say, straight guys don't get headaches if there's pussy on tap, right?
I've never had a headache in my life.
But gay guys don't get headaches?
Not this one.
Well,
I have a lot of problems, but headaches are not one of them.
Especially, like, there's a kind of headache override when sex is possible. That thing you get when you have a hangover and you suddenly start jacking off and you're horny and suddenly you don't have a hangover anymore and then you come and then you have a hangover again. The fact that he canceled for a headache, that may be the worst.
Was it the
sign of all.
90s? Who cancels for a headache?
Yeah.
I need medical proof. Something like I need like a prescription. I need a doctor's note. A headache. Maybe if it's migraines and that's, it's migraines, it's a part. But then I think she would have said he has migraines and he got a migraine. Canceling for a headache, that is really... drink a glass of water. Like, what are you doing?
You're saying that's really bi.
Yeah.
That's a bi thing. Also, I don't think there are any 100% straight guys on Field. That's a dating app for the sexually adventurous.
Yeah.
There are certainly straight identified guys on Field, but also arguing against 100% straight and maybe 4 bi is where you met him, caller. You met him on Field.
They might identify as straight, but at the very least, they're watching gay hentai. At the very least.
Or Dune 1 and 2 now.
There you go.
He's such a Timothy Chalamet fan.
Yeah.
Is Timothy Chalamet one of those straight boys who's so pretty he pings on other straight boys' sex star?
I guess so. I don't. Here's the thing. I love Call Me By Your Name. I saw it 4 times in theaters, and this was before like Movie Pass. So I paid. I have given that man money. But I don't think about Timothy Chalamet personally on a sexual level. So I can't really speak to that.
But you're gay.
I am gay. And he is handsome, but I'm just not, he's not for me. And he doesn't care. He doesn't need that. But I'm just, as someone who's brought on here to talk about Timothy Chalamet sexually, I do have to just admit, personally, in my home, I am not into that.
Do you know what ruins Timothy Chalamet for me?
What?
His heterosexuality.
Sure.
I feel very fortunate that I'm one of those gay guys who doesn't find straightness in men kind of super extra duper appealing.
All right, I wouldn't go that far.
It's like finding out a guy's a smoker. I'm like, yeah, ooh.
Oh, damn. Okay, we have different interests.
Like, but
you've never seen someone smoke and thought that looks cool at the very least?
Everybody I see smoking, I think he's going to smell like my dad. My dad, the Chicago cop who smoked. My dad also ruined cop uniforms for me. Those don't work on me either.
Oh, I mean, yeah, no, that's a simple pass.
People who can't see you right now, I can see you right now. Everybody should go follow Jared on Instagram, where he posts clip, which is where I first encountered you. You're a pretty guy.
Thank you.
Do you sometimes ping onto straight men's Sexstar where they're attracted to you?
1,000%.
And what do you do with that superpower? With great power comes great responsibility. How do you abuse and leverage this?
You don't. Because you just get kind of like I'm like a cat toy for them.
Jared Goldstein, named one of Vulture's comedians you should know and will know. You can check out his latest stand-up on House of Laughs on Wow Presents Plus. He's great. Go look him up on Instagram because that's the key to the world now. I follow people on Instagram. That's how I find out when they have books coming out, when they have new shows coming out. And what's your Instagram handle again?
At Hey Jared Hey.
There's more of my conversation with comedian Jared Goldstein on the Magnum Savage Lovecast. You can hear my complete conversation, my full conversation with Jared by becoming a Magnum sub now at savage.love.
Hi, Dan. I am a mostly straight guy in a relationship with a woman, and we have a really wonderful relationship. Everything is great. We have amazing communication. We love to spend our time with each other. We're on the same page when it comes to most of our values and the way we like to live our life. And so I'm very grateful to be in the partnership that I'm in. I recently read a book called Mind the Gap. It was amazing. She had an exercise in there about exploring your turn-ons and your sexual kinks with your partner. And so we did this. And I've always been attracted to non-monogamy. I used to say that I felt like I was non-monogamous. At some point I said I was polyamorous. I don't know if that's true. I don't know really what the right label is, but we were talking about this and kind of came to the conclusion that what really turns me on is the idea of like being sexual with other women. And I was even able to articulate a scenario where I would be giving a friend, another woman, an erotic massage and potentially go down on another woman. And that's a big turn on for me and something I'm into. She doesn't like this idea at all. She's very uncomfortable when we talk about it. And I love her a lot, and I don't want her to feel uncomfortable. Although it will seem like it goes to this place where she feels like if we can't resolve this, then maybe we would have to break up. And it feels a little extreme for me. I don't want to break up over this. It's not a deal breaker for me. It's just something that I fantasize about and that is a turn on for me. And I don't really know how to move forward with that. I don't want my girlfriend to be uncomfortable, but at the same time, I want to be able to be open about what turns me on and what I'm interested in and express that freely. I guess sometimes I'm just struggling about what the right thing to do or what the right way to move forward with that is with her so that she feels like she's included and part of the decision. And, I care about her feelings a lot, and I don't want to do anything to jeopardize what we have, but I want to be myself.
Dude, you're going to jeopardize what you have with your girlfriend if you don't shut the fuck up. It's fine that you want to sleep with other women, go down on other women. That's fine. And your girlfriend, you've told her that, so she knows that. Even if you hadn't told her that, that's just something people should assume about their sex partners. And I think your girlfriend is emotionally intelligent enough, if you're processing this varsity level stuff, to fucking know that. So you're free to express yourself freely. You're free to freely express your desire to sleep with women who aren't your girlfriend. Just don't express that shit to your girlfriend any more than you already have. Pay her the courtesy and the respect of blowing off that steam, not by telling her about it, because she's going to experience you telling her about it as pressuring her and picking at this issue and wanting to renegotiate the monogamous commitment that you've made to her, that you've told her you want to honor. She's not going to perceive it as you're just being yourself. She's going to perceive it as pressure. Express this shit freely to the friends you blow off steam with about your relationship, not necessarily to your girlfriend. And when you say, I think I might be polyamorous, I used to think I might be non-monogamous, polyamory, non-monogamy, monogamy, not sexual orientations. People are not monogamous. Monogamy is something people choose to do. Polyamory, sometimes poly people, although I'm kind of a famously poly person, get upset with me when I say this. Polyamorous is not a sexual orientation. I take a pretty conservative view when it comes to orientations. If it's something that gay people can do and straight people can do and bisexual people can do and pansexual people can do, and in this case, even asexual people can do, it's not a sex act or a sexual orientation. It is in this case, monogamy, non-monogamy, polyamory, it is a relationship model. And you have to, if you're going to be in a relationship with someone, you have to come to an agreement. You have to come to a consensus about what that relationship model is going to be, the choice that you two are going to make. And you have put it out there that you would prefer to be in a non-monogamous relationship. And she has put on the table, it's monogamy or nothing. That may change. She knows that you would like this freedom at some point in your life to have sex with other women in addition to her. If her feelings about this change or evolve, she will let you know. In the meantime, stop freely expressing this shit to her. Go find some friends, preferably ones who don't have vaginas, who aren't thinking you're trying to get into their pants, that you can freely express yourself in this way to, that you can blow off steam with, that you can share your frustration at not getting everything you want in your relationship. But stop telling her what she already knows and allow her to return to the state of being able to suspend her disbelief and pretend that, for now at least, this isn't true. Do her that courtesy. Time for a little listener feedback. First up, a few comments left on last week's show in the very lively comment threads at savage.love. We talked last week about anal orgasms with Dr. Evan Goldstein. I am a skeptic, but some call me is a believer. Hey, Dan, I'm happy to report that I've had 3 or 4 anal orgasms. The first time, years ago, just starting to explore anal, and had a 100% anal orgasm. Tried to reproduce it later, but wasn't able to. Come from butt stuff alone, again, on my own. But I had 2 or 3 anal orgasms during a recent vacation with my wife. I took gummies beforehand. Haven't been able to replicate it without the gummy scent, so I wonder if the gummies increased relaxation, increased sensitivity, or increased my ability to get out of my head. Easy way to test that hypothesis of yours, some call me. Get some more goddamn gummies, get your butt back in the air, and get your wife on it. Says Echo in the Voice. About the person who had an affair before the birth of his children, whose wife wanted him to come clean to their children, this is absolutely a bid to shame and continue to punish this person. There is no benefit for the children to be told this information, and adolescents at that. Echo goes on in her very long comment to share the absolutely heartbreaking story about how her husband outed her to their kids, not as a cheater, but as a swinger, which her husband was too, but he blames it all on Echo. Comments too long to share here, but go read it on the comment threads on last week's show at savage.love. And if you have the time, please offer some words of support to Echo. And finally, says Dennis, for the bottom afraid of being too loose and not giving enough pleasure to the top, not every top loves a tight hole. Some people get more excited at light touches, be it on the skin or on the penis. I actually prefer it looser. It feels soft and gentle, and that's what puts me over the edge. All right, for more listener feedback, check out Struggle Session, where I respond to listener and reader comments every Thursday at savage.love. That's for Magnum subs only. Become a Magnum sub now at savage.love. And now, for everybody, listener response calls.
Hi, Dan. This is an abortion worker with some information that might be helpful to people in Louisiana right now. For the people who are trying to use miso and Miffy, the M&Ms, there are two ways that you can use miso. One is to insert the tablets vaginally and let them dissolve there for half an hour. The other is to insert them in the mouth in between the cheeks and gums and let them dissolve there for half an hour. Both methods are safe, both methods are effective, but there can be remnants left behind with the vaginal method that could be used in a court of law. If you do the cheeks and gum method, you can leave the tablets there to dissolve for half an hour. Then you can take a drink of water, use mouthwash or whatever, swish those things around, and then they will no longer be visible to a doctor or nurse or anyone in the event that you have to go to the ER or to see a physician. Wish this wasn't advice I needed to give, but hopefully it helps.
This is a response for the caller in the last episode who wanted to know if he should tell his children about his affair. I am the child of two parents that had an affair. Please don't. Please don't. I've spent so much money on therapy discussing my parents' relationships when I shouldn't have to. My parents' relationships are my parents' relationships. They're none of my business. I don't want to hear about it. Your kids will thank you later. I found out at a very young age because my parents told me. I think they thought it was the right thing to do, and I think it's the most fucked up thing that they could have done. Please don't tell your kids. Please don't tell your kids. Let your wife hear this. Please don't tell your kids.
Hi, Dan. I'm calling to respond to the woman who wanted to dabble in or return to sex work as a sugar baby, but doesn't actually want to necessarily have to have sex and doesn't want it to be a requirement or expectation. I'm a 10-year veteran of sex work in almost every capacity, and I'm going to level with you. That is truly delusional. We've all had the pretty woman fantasy where, Richard Gere pays us to sit around and look pretty because we're just so interesting and so unique, and we're just not like the other girls. But that isn't a reality, at least not in 99.99% of cases in sex work. And like Dan said in his response, you can start by putting no sex in your ads, either on Seeking Arrangements or on Twitter, which by now I think we can all agree we will never call X. But in the vast majority of cases, dudes are seeking a sugar baby because they're looking for a less expensive version of a hooker. And I can say that because I've been a very inexpensive hooker. You can try the site Cuddle Up for non-sexual intimacy, but just remember that sex work is called sex work for a reason. And if all of us sex workers only had sex when we were turned on and spoiled by some handsome sugar daddies or mommies, we'd never actually be having sex. It's called sex work because we're generally having sex or being sexual when we're not turned on because we have to do it to earn a living. And that's what makes it a job.
And we're going to leave it there. We've got 3 great ways for you to get us your questions or comments for future shows. You can record your question or comment at savage.love/askdan, or you can make a voice memo on your very own phone and email us your question or comment at q@savage.love, or you can call our landline and leave us a message at 206-302-2064. The spring tour of Hump 2024 Part 1 in theaters wrapped up over the weekend, but Part 1 of Hump 2024 is now streaming online. For everybody who didn't make it to a theater, go to humpfilmfest.com/streaming and watch Hump now in your own home anywhere in the world. Now is also the perfect time to get started on your submission for Hump 2025. Go to humpfilmfest.com/submit to learn how to make the perfect dirty little film for our wonderful Dirty Little Film Festival. There is no charge. There has never been a charge to enter Hump, and every filmmaker whose film makes it into the show gets a cut of every ticket sold, thousands of dollars every year annually going to each and every filmmaker. You can find all the info you need on making and submitting your film for Hump at humpfilmfest.com/submit. Follow me on Instagram and Threads at Dan Savage. Follow me at Blue Sky at Dan Savage. And you can still find me on the Bad Place at Fake Dan Savage. Follow Jared Goldstein on Threads and Instagram at Hey Jared Hey. The Savage Lovecast is produced every week by Nancy Hartunian and me and Nancy and the tech-savvy at-risk youth. The whole gang will be back at you next week. Another installment of the Savage Lovecast. Thank you for downloading.